What's up guys, this is Astranox. It's time for the showcase, the re-showcase of Celine after she was buffed. And now she claps. She not only claps, she thunderclaps. So this hero, man, she deals a lot of damage. They use a non-attack skill, will trigger her blink. And I like to have her on her exclusive equipment that targets a random enemy. I don't want her to attack the highest attacker because the enemy can bait her that way. I have attack imprint for herself. And for her gear, I have her on Destruction and Penetration set for maximizing the single target damage of her blink. Skill 3, and the skill number 1. It works out real well. You can replace Destruction with attack set, double critical hit set. You could go lifesteal, you could build her bulky, you can build her slower, still hit hard enough. And on her own artifact, she gets attack buff, she gets 24% combat finesse when it's maxed out, and that will allow her to go back to back like the blink into the thunderclap, which is really strong. And after she was buffed, she also gets a 20% combat finesse push when after she triggers the blink, which is real good because it's gonna allow her to really go back to back. So let's see what kind of numbers she's able to dish out. So like I said, the exclusive equipment, I like to have it on the one that boosts the damage of Thunderclap by 10% because the enemy cannot bait her to attack the highest attacker on the team. I feel like, yeah, it's not predictable and I prefer it that way because if she triggers the blink on someone, you can just finish them off like I did with the Thunderclap and it works out real well. You could even lower your offensive power, you can still manage to do it. Like I said, you can have her on a bulky build. The way I had her build before was over 15,000 health. She was still on destruction, but she was on immunity. Now the big thing after the buff of Celine is that she removes all debuff before she attacks with the blink, instead of removing all debuffs when she uses the skill number 3. So that means if you go back to back and you have enough speed on her from the CR push of her own artifact, right? Secret Art Storm Sword plus the passive 20% CR push, together can go up to 45% CR push. So yeah, you go back to back and you don't have to worry about debuffs. Now the problem with immunity before is that you could get crippled, right? Before you trigger the blink, and then you trigger the blink, maybe you have attack break, you're crippled, and that's not good. That's not good. There's so many heroes that can remove your immunity, reduce buff duration, remove buff. So it is much better the way she is now. Now the skill number 3 gives her a barrier, which is scaling off of her attack, and she doesn't she doesn't steal life as much as before, but there's the barrier. So I think it really makes up for it, and I think the reduction of lifesteal was reduced by a bit, not that much really. So the penetration set really helps her, and because now that she removes all debuffs from herself before attacking with the blink, so you have a 2-piece set that you can get. Penetration, maybe you don't have it, maybe you go with crit, or there's quite a few builds for this hero. I like to run her like this. I might try her on different builds later down the line, but as you can see, Rimuru can just after she blinks, he can just like trigger his passive, attack someone, and steal copy buffs. So that's not cool, and it's quite dangerous because Rimuru, if he has enough speed, he's gonna be able to cut before Celine. So maybe you want to have Celine on a speed and penetration set build, so you can really sort of like guarantee that you're going back to back. I mean, you're not gonna be able to pull it off versus an Arbiter Vildred, but if she has enough speed and you have maybe a Politis on your team, you might be able to, by cutting his CR push by half, you might be able to pull it off. I'm not saying it will work because if RB has a decent amount of speed, it's just not gonna work. You will get his turn. But I really like that she gets, of course, like before, the evasion buff after she uses the skill number 3. But she is so much more impactful when you bring her against a team that has a non-attack skill or more heroes that can trigger non-attack skill. They are at the point where they have to decide, am I going to use my non-attack skill or I have to delay before I deal with this Celine? Now, that's pretty dangerous, right? Like, if they delay the non-attack skill and it's sort of like core in their team, they're going to be having some problems. Yes, Celine, definitely, like, you can see the damage. Even from the skill number 1, it's real solid. And Rem. Oh, who doesn't like to just, you know, destroy Rem? Feels good. You know, meta heroes like Apocalypse, Ravi, and of course, talking about meta heroes, there's Conqueror Lilius. Conqueror Lilius is super meta, and non-attack skill. That's the thing, non-attack skill on Lilius, ML Lilius, and it's an easy way to trigger your Celine. So you can definitely pick her against a team like that. Maybe you want to pick her later on so they don't like pick a fire hero or double up on fire. That could be quite devastating. So you pick her near the end, and they might be forced to ban her. So forced ban right there. Reason why I don't showcase her straight off the bat in RT is because she's gonna get banned like 80-90% of the time. It's gonna be ridiculous, right? Because the meta is super heavy with Conqueror Lilius. And also non-attack skill are, you know, they're much more present now than they were before. So that's a good time to dust off your Celine and try her out. I mean, I'm not saying you need to 15 skill her up, but at least if you got a decent amount of skill ups into the Blink and the skill 3, you can definitely make things happen. Depending on your gear level, it really depends how many layers of protection the enemy has. Like if they have so many, maybe your damage is not going to be quite up there, but in the current meta, they don't seem to be stacking multiple layers of protection. Remember, like back in the days with like double, triple, I mean quadruple knights in you know, in the metas, like stuff like that. Now it's not the case. So yeah, since there's a pretty heavy amount of non-attack skill in the meta, it's a good time. It's a good time to try out your Celine. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. And this Politis and Pyrrha, they just keep on stunning, man. It is bothering me. So yeah, some battles I cut till the end because, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's a victory. I'm trying to showcase the damage of Celine so you guys can get a better idea of if you should be building her or not, depending on how many skill ups you have. So yeah, this hero, I feel like she's definitely very strong. And she's a detriment. Like if you bring her, you pick her, the enemy is going to might be forced to ban her, and you can definitely make her shine in a control environment, arena offense, guild war offense. I mean, on defense it's a different thing. Maybe you want her to be ran on a bulky build, you know, more survivability. Maybe you can run her on Moonlight Dreamblade. You don't need to have her own artifact because yes, you need to have it maxed out for 100% chance, but if you run a Moonlight Dreamblade, maybe you have her fairly slow and then the enemy end up triggering the Moonlight. She gets attack buff. She won't get the CR push, but at least that's a survivability increase. And it goes hand in hand with her evasion buff. So 50 from the evasion buff, 20 from the Moonlight. I mean, 70% evasion. That is pretty beast right there. Considering the fact that she has some survivability increase. She's got the lifesteal from skill 3. Removing debuff before triggering their blink. Getting the barrier. It's real solid. I've seen Celine build like that before. She can be quite annoying. Maybe you protect her with Troublemaker Crozet, you know, a Knight with Aureus at least, and you can definitely make things happen unless you pick her into a fire, double fire team and you cannot get rid of them. So yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, Celine, I really like where she stands now. She feels way more impactful. She can actually go on a slow build, which feels really good. And that means a lot of builds are going to open up for this hero. And you can definitely throw some gear laying around on her. And, you know, she's going to just trigger a bunch of bans in RTA at the very least. And you can definitely do real good for yourself if you bring her in controlled environment. You can also bring her in PvE content, so that's the good news. She doesn't have any debuff that she can apply, so that's also a good thing sometimes, like in the Abyss. But this hero, I feel she's way more worth it to be built now. Yes, there's Politis that can counter non-attack skill, but if you have Politis plus Celine, you know, they can only ban one. So yeah, that's good. And maybe you build her tanky. The Politis is like decently high effectiveness, pretty tanky, and maybe you're running 3 other heroes that are pretty bulky. You know, a bruiser playstyle. Maybe you stack the layers of protection, and it's gonna mess up the team if they're trying to cleave. Because Celine is self-sufficient. You don't need to have an attack buffer in the team if you have her on her own artifact. So that's really good. And also the CR push happens no matter what. It's not a chance. Like the chance is for the attack buff from the Secret Art Storm Sword artifact. So that's another thing that you can consider. And you don't need to have her on that artifact. There's going to be a bunch of other artifacts that can work just fine with her. I mean, you could even have a Wind Rider, but the Blink needs to take out someone. You're gonna have to attack buff, apply attack buff on her before she would trigger the Blink. But imagine, she goes into stealth, the Wind Rider, right? And then she gets that sweet attack increase from the stealth, but she also gets the passive attack increase. Yes, I mean, there's so many different ways that you could build her, like 3-star, 4-star, 5-star artifacts. A bunch of them could definitely work. We got the common artifacts. I mean, you could have the Unity artifact from Guildor. You get the damage increase no matter where their health stands at. It's not like Portrait of its Saviors. And then you get the hit chance, which is good on RGB heroes because they will miss 50% of the time against the element they're weak against. So against fire is going to be 30% miss instead of 50%. So that's good as well. The damage is always there. But I think really her artifact is such a strong thing to have. At least you could have her on Moonlight, maybe Bulk, evasion build could be quite annoying. Maybe you want to have her on a decent amount of speed. You could throw with a counter set. I don't know, man. But yeah, she's definitely much better now. Anyways, let us know what you guys think about all that in the comment section. That's it for this one. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all y'all do. Peace out for now.